Morning, guys. Everything new under the sun. Cryptocurrencies. Now, I was into cryptocurrencies a while back. I've since seen and witnessed that they basically go up and down with the stock markets, but I believe there could still be a place for them, at least up until the point where the false prophet is revealed and the Antichrist, who brings in the one world currency. Likely they're going to either make their own cryptocurrency, make their own digital currency, or maybe make use of one of the existing ones that's already in place and being used and just control it. Um, but I think most of the cryptocurrencies, if not all the ones that we know now, will likely go to zero as the one world government comes in and basically makes their own because they want to control it on their own. What I think is also interesting is that um, Trump and the U.S. And I've heard other people comment on it. It's almost as if they're trying to push us into recession, economic collapse. But on the other hand, you could look at it as they're trying to rescue the economy. They're trying to get us out of the death spiral, if you will, into economic morass and economic depression, and get us out of this debt-based economy. Somehow get the economy moving upwards again. But with the trade tariffs and the government shutdown in the U.S., and then these sanctions on Russia, which this article speaks about, this is your hedge. It does almost look like, Trump, either knowingly or unknowingly, is really getting the U.S. set up for economic collapse. Russia prepares to buy up to $10 billion in Bitcoin to evade U.S. sanctions. So Russia is already on record as saying, they prefer not to support the U.S. dollar. They're trying to do business outside of it in the ruble, in their own currency, or in gold and silver. They're stockpiling gold just like China is. But on top of that, they're basically cashing out all their U.S. dollars, apparently according to this, and buying Bitcoin. Now this is going to lead to a probably significant bump in Bitcoin again, maybe increase awareness again and increase interest again. But again, I think cryptocurrency is very speculative. There is maybe a place for investment there. It's not unlike anything else. It's not unlike the stocks. You're gambling anyways. Stocks are just digital values. You don't actually own a piece of a company these days anymore like you used to. And so I think this could be interesting for the crypto world. It says, while the market has been increasingly focused on rising headwinds in the global economy in general, excuse me, and China's economic slowdown in particular, while the media is obsessing over daily revelations that Trump may or may not have colluded with Russia, it says a far more critical, if underreported, shift has been taking place. Whether due to the concerns over draconian Western sanctions and asset confiscations following the poisoning of a Russian military officer, Skripal, or simply because it wants to diversify away from the dollar, Russia liquidated virtually all of its treasury holdings. I would suggest to you, once Russia is done, look for China to start doing it as well, shortly after, if they're not already covertly doing it right now. So they liquidated virtually all treasury holdings in late spring and early summer, in the process sparking a major repricing of the 10-year U.S. Treasury, whose yield jumped from 2.7 to a high of 3.1% in May, a move which economists were struggling to explain at the time. So they've got this chart of Russia's holding of U.S. Treasuries, and you can see the absolute tanking of Treasuries down to a place around the 2007 mark. Isn't that interesting that they started buying Treasuries around 2007? I wonder why they did that. Was there some collusion there, and did that was that part and parcel of the 2008 credit crunch, etc.? Next obvious question is, what did Russia do with the proceeds? And it came as little surprise that Russia was selling nearly 100 billion worth of treasuries. It was aggressively buying gold. So you can see their treasury holdings in green versus gold holdings, which is skyrocketing as they sell off. And that's probably, should the Lord tarry, should the Lord not return, should the 7-year tribulation be years and years off, this would be probably the smartest thing to do for them. It says, in addition to gold, the Kremlin also instructed the Russian finance ministry to load up on the yuan, the Chinese currency, something which we noted at the end of September, which when we showed the surge in reserves allocated to the Chinese yuan. As part of its reallocation, Russia also bought a substantial amount of non-USD currencies, and so they bought the yuan, they bought the British pound, Japanese yen, as well as the Canadian dollar and the Australian dollar. So they're diversifying. They're trying to get themselves ready for an economic collapse by buying all these various currencies in hopes that one of them is going to be worth something when the economy collapses. That's kind of, I assume that's their understanding. It says, and now the final piece missing of Russia's massive capital reallocation out of petrodollars has emerged after the Telegraph reported that Moscow is preparing an investment in Bitcoin in a bid to tackle U.S. sanctions. According to Vladislav Ginko, an economist at state-funded Russian Presidential Academy of National Economy and Public Administration, that's a long title, the government is taking steps to minimize the impact of U.S. sanctions that have hit the Russian ruble by replacing some of its U.S. dollar reserves with the world's most popular cryptocurrency. So there seems to be a growing confidence and a growing visibility of Bitcoin as a currency that can at least be used to kind of store value. And so basically they're trading US dollars for Bitcoin. And again, that could be smart, it could not. Cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin could go to zero. But it doesn't appear as such at this time. And it doesn't look to be something that's going to occur in the near future unless a world government comes in and says, look, we're going to create our own cryptocurrency, we're going to outlaw all the other cryptocurrencies, and they would be stuck holding the bag. But I think it's interesting. The Russian government is about to make a step to start diversifying financial reserves into Bitcoin since Russia is forced by U.S. sanctions to dump U.S. Treasury bonds and take back U.S. dollars. So this is, like I said, this is going to lead to probably a significant bump in Bitcoin and probably a confidence builder in the rest of the cryptocurrencies. The tide floats all boats, as they say, something, whatever that saying is. So multiple cryptocurrencies could go up. So this would be a time to, if you have cryptocurrencies, you may hope that they keep going up. It could also be sell the rise basically when they go up. Start get rid of what you have and get it into harder assets. That's what I would absolutely suggest. I think overall that would be my long term. It's fun to play the crypto game. It's fun to have a little bit, just to have it, and you may make some money doing it. I know I made money in the run up to the Litecoin situation, even before it was at its maximum value. But that was short lived, and that may come back. And there may be some investors that are still going to make a lot of money, but the more sure, slow, tortoise and the hare sort of example, the tortoise would be buying gold, silver, hard assets, paying off your mortgage, owning things that could be used for barter, trade, or that would otherwise make you money in whatever new economy comes when the economic collapse happens. But at this point in time, in terms of end-time Bible prophecy, I think we'll all come pretty quickly. I don't think we will have a lot of time in between the economic collapse and some of the prophetic wars. There are going to be months, maybe a year before the 7-year tribulations. There's not going to be a lot of time to recover, to start doing anything else. Ultimately, because these things I think are going to happen in very, very quick succession over a very short period of time, economic collapse, Isaiah 17, Ezekiel 38, mark of the beast, 7-year tribulation, etc., abomination of desolation. I think these are all going to happen in rapid succession, and it means that you're not going to have a lot of time to use your preps necessarily. You may not need to use a lot of your preps because it's going to go down so fast, I believe, and I think that's kind of what the Bible describes, a very fast succession of events. So what's the most important thing? The most important thing is to know Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. I say it all the time. He died 2,000 years ago for my sin. He died for your sin. He's coming back again. Bible says there's going to be some really hard times to come, and we want to be able to escape that. And the Bible speaks to that in Thessalonians, escaping the things that are to come, being taken out of, and the rapture. The Christian church doesn't argue about whether there is a rapture. The church simply argues about the timing of the rapture. So no matter where you sit, you need to be prepared now, because you may not have time. You may die tomorrow regardless of end time events that are occurring. Well, guys, I'll leave it there for today. Some thoughts to ponder, some significant things in the crypto world. So we'll see how this pans out and plays out, and see how this affects the greater economy, as well as confidence is continually being dragged down and lost. And I think we're going to see some fireworks this year. It's going to be an exciting year to be alive. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video.